Uh, got it.
All right, brother, let's get it.
All right, bro. Let's go.
We're on.
Oh, I was waiting for the countdown. You know, the 3, 2, 1, go.
I got you.
What's going on, everybody?
I'm
dead.
All right, we're in it. We're in it.
All right, so fuck the intro, man. Fuck the intro. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to an episode of The Doors. I am one of your co-hosts, Sacriots, and always with my buddy
Nicholas Sternlow.
And let's open some
doors.
Nicholas.
Oh man. Oh, that brightened my day a little bit.
These always do, man. These talks, they're so important, man.
Honestly,
it's like I could be in such a bad mood. Like I could seriously be in such a bad mood, you know, or just in my feelings. And then, you know, we hop on here and start talking, man. And by the end of the conversation, it's always a complete, you know, reinventing of myself and reinventing of my emotions. And I'm really thankful for that, man.
Okay. Let's start this off. Let's start this off with this then. Ready? So name something that tested you today.
Name something that's tested me
a door that's about to slam you open. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Like, look, I'll explain mine. Zach goes, hey, hit me up 20 minutes before our podcast because I want to make some hot tea. And I was like, hot tea sounds good. So I searched my whole entire kitchen for some hot tea because I was like, that sounds like a great idea, right? And I found some coffee. I was like, fuck it, we'll do some coffee. So I brewed this one coffee and fucked up. And I was like, God, whatever. And then I started brewing this other coffee. And it's just the coffee does not taste good. It's not good tasting coffee. So I got a warm cup of coffee right in front of me, and it's just it's like mild. It's not a good flavor for me.
One of those ones where you drink it. It's like I'd rather just dump this out and drink some water. But so mine, I would have to say. So today, went to church, had a really, really great sermon that he preached about. He preached about, you know, your circle and all your friends and all that stuff and who you hang out with. So for me, you know, one of those situations was me stepping back and thinking about my circle and thinking about the people that I constantly, you know, constantly hang out with or constantly communicate with. And the question was, you know, is your circle benefiting you? You know, is your circle bringing out the best parts of you? Is your circle allowing you to grow? And, you know, truthfully, I can answer that most of the people that I surround myself with, yes, they are. So that was a really great point. But then there's a few people that I've really realized that, hey, you know, I can love you, you know, but I might have to distance myself a little bit because I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to become this best person that I'm trying to be. And I think sometimes, Nick, like we get caught up in that. It's like we want to be a really great friend to everyone, but we forget about that we have to love ourselves first. You know, we got to be a little bit selfish. And that hit me really hard today because I was struggling between the point of being, you know, super nice and helpful, but enabling at the same time. And it's like you have to find a very, very thin line. And then when it comes to you and yourself, and if people are taking away from what you're trying to accomplish, if they're bringing you down, if they're, you know, making you fall back into these bad neurological pathways, sometimes, man, you have to cut those people off, and it really sucks to do that. So I'd say that's probably mine.
I feel that. I completely understand. So now like something that we're great. I don't actually want to go to that. I want to go into a story. So on a team aspects, an atmosphere, especially a co-ed, which is honestly, you don't get that in many aspects of any sports, but you do get it in honestly in workplaces and social environments a lot. Like last night I went to this birthday party and it was a whole bunch of fun, man. But like one thing that I've always come to realize through cheerleading is like you form such a trustworthy bond between your friends and your teammates that like you have like almost like it's almost like a motherly instinct to what's going on around your team that are not your teammates. and this guy was just getting a little bit overwhelmingly drunk, a little bit too tipsy on the side, and was acting belligerent. And I haven't had that protection mode kicked on in a while, because I haven't been on a team like that. But I was around two of my good friends, and they're female, and literally just boom, that mode kicked on. And it's really interesting to know like that our senses and our awarenesses before people that we care about, people we surround ourselves with, can kick into high gear in certain aspects. Like, you ever seen dad reflex stuff? Like a kid will fall off a couch and the dad catches the baby's head before he hits the ground. Like, nice, you know? It's almost instinctual. And I'm a very passive individual. I mean, and I enjoy that to an aspect, because like it doesn't cause much issues. But like at the end of the day, I was like, I was like kicked in. I was like, this is not happening. I'm not letting motherfuckers go wild. Yeah.
So it's really interesting to me that you're talking about, like, you know, just those instinctual acts. Like, your body just acts on its own at times. And, you know, in martial arts, this is one of the things that you train for. You train so that when you're in a situation, you don't have to, because, you know, your thoughts can only travel so fast. So if you're constantly relying on your thought processes in order to move in martial arts, sometimes that's a little bit too slow. When you get up to where, you know, you're fighting with professionals or black belts and stuff like that, like a split second decision can be the difference between you winning and you losing. So like I said, we train in order to be like a more instinctual being. And that's one of my goals, is to be able to read a situation and, you know, for my body to react. So I'll give you an example. The other day, me and my friend, we were just kind of like, you know, messing around, sparring a little bit. And, you know, I had turned to the side because I was going to grab something to drink. Well, he was just messing with me, and I guess just like tested my reflexes. He threw this like the side kick coming at me, dude, and I just smacked it with a low block, blocked it instantly. And he looked up at me. He was like, dude, he said, that was pretty good. I said, yeah, that's what I'm training for, man. But it's like, it's so weird how the body does that, though, because it's like, it's a sense that's outside of you. You know, it's just a reaction. And it's like, do you think, Nicholas, there's different ways that we could train that to be able to make that more instinctual part of ourselves a greater part of our life?
I mean, hands down. I mean, it comes through in many different aspects. I mean, I think that everything, you have to realize that everything vibrates. And that's huge, because it gives off vibes. It gives off actual energy when things are going on. My voice coming through your microphone, coming through your speaker, your computers, or someone's phone, or whatever is happening, is actually producing energy. And not only in instinctual moments of physical activity, but like there are times when you feel negative vibes, like you don't need to be in this space, or, hey, my friend looks uncomfortable, like, and being able to actually address those situations almost nonchalantly or in a way that's instinctive, and being like, all right, this needs to move on. This is not okay. Or I need to do this without thinking. And I think that we tie so much to our own material selves and how we should act in things, instead of sometimes how we know, like our body knows it should act. You know what I mean?
Have you ever, and I know you just got a dog, man, but have you ever sat back and just like watch them? You know, I have a wolf. He's a hybrid. So I spent a lot of time with him, man, and I would just watch him. And, you know, most dogs, they clean themselves, but this guy, he cleans his fur, he clips his own nails, like he makes sure that he's always got food, water, like all that stuff. Like he does that stuff himself, which is very cool. You know, and it's just like, I was sitting back and watching him the other day, and he was chasing the squirrel. And, you know, the squirrel jumped from tree to tree to tree, but no matter where the squirrel went, he would follow it. And it was just like, you know, why is he doing that? Is he doing that just because he's having fun, or is he doing that because it's his instinct, you know, in order to move, in order to run, in order to chase and hunt? And I think as people, you know, we have these instinctual parts of ourselves that lay dormant, you know, because we live in a comfortable society, and that's not a bad thing or anything. But I think at times that instinctual part of you, when you need it the most, it always comes out.
Well, you got to
And I
trust
guess
it.
for myself, yeah, you have to, man. And you got to live there for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, in order to really be able to bring that out, I feel like you have to be there. You have to train it. You have to be able to learn and grow and prosper, just like a muscle. You know, if you're trying to train your bicep, you're doing a curl, you know, you have to hit it from, you know, the points of origin insertion for the bicep. There's two different ones. So like, I feel like for, you know, this instinctual part of yourself, you have to be able to train that in certain ways. And martial arts is one of the best ones for me. You know, I love it. I love it. You know, I would even go as far as to say I'm a little bit obsessed with it.
Now, I wanna jump into something too. Is along with instinctual, I think that all human beings have an inner drive they have no idea about to do good for others. It's almost a golden rule. Do as thou want others to do to you, basically. But when I was talking about this recently, when you start doing things that have nothing to do with the beneficiary value to you, but have an immense beneficiary value to others, and you're taking time out of your day to do that, I think instinctually you start finding ways to deal with situations better, or you instinctually start finding ways to deal with like sadness, sorrow, and negativity, positivity, whatever it may be. You instinctively learn to address those issues because it's no longer just you. If that makes sense.
It's almost Nicholas, like a sixth sense. You know what I mean? Like, you have all these different senses. You know, your sense of smell, your sense of sight, your sense of touch. You know, it's just one of those ones where it's like a sixth sense, because, you know, if you just sat there and close your eyes and you have your hands out, it's like, how do I know my hands are still there even though my eyes are closed? And the only real, you know, sensory direction that you can get, it's beyond feeling, it's beyond emotion. You know what I mean? It's literally like a sense that you don't understand, and it's instinctual. But it's so cool, man, that, you know, you were talking about, you know, this power, and, you know, that lies deep inside you, dormant, that you know. But I think what's most important to realize is that we have a divine spark inside of us, you know, from our creator. You know, I really believe that, you know, each of us had that, you know, deep inside of us, and that we can bring that out. And it's like, that's how we can relate to an intimate level, like this conversation right here, you know, that Nicholas and I are having, and the people that are listening to this. You know, it's why we can connect on such an intimate level, you know, not just surface level, you know, where we're just kind of chit chatting back and forth, and then, you know, we're trying to leave and go to work or something like that. No, it's an intimate love that we each and all share. And I think, you know, what's so cool about that is that people don't normally dive into it and talk about it in that way. You know, it's like, yeah, well, I know that, you know, I'm pretty powerful, dude. I can overcome some obstacles. I can do this and that, but can you do it every time? When it's easy to be strong when things are going good, but when things are going shit bad, when things are just not going your way, and everywhere you go is something going wrong, can you be strong then?
Well, look,
and I think
so well, look at this. Think about this. I mean, we've talked about the three ways we interact with the world is physically, mentally, and spiritually. And if you're competent in just one, you're still, it's not like you're addressing the others, or you're dealing with those scenarios, or you're being like, or being honest with yourself in how you feel. And your emotions, the way you feel towards something, no matter how much you want to discount those emotions or those thoughts, that's the way you feel. And that's your truth. And to blindly disassociate from those emotions puts you in those states sometimes. Even like if, because I'm better at handling my emotions and I'm more spiritually sound, even if I'm not physically up to par, like if I go through a physical ordeal, or someone's berating me with words, or we're having a hard conversation, as much as it's hard to deal with physically, my emotions are there. I actually can understand why I'm feeling a certain way and not just let that outpour. Because I think so many people literally just, it's like an upside down hourglass. You have all these emotions just sitting there stirred up, and they're just chilling. They're just chilling. You never address them. Or where
Love that.
and then someone comes over and just flips it over, and then you're in the middle of something that is just heated. And now everything just slowly starts coming out. But if you now think about it as almost the same scenario, but the hourglass literally turns, it's a 30-second hourglass, and it turns every 30 seconds. If you're constantly addressing your emotions, there's a constant flow. It's a steady flow. I think the first one, a better term would be something like a dam breaking. Like you're just building up water, and then literally just breaks and everything flows out. Whereas a constant momentum of an hourglass turning it over and over after repeating, you're allowing yourself to feel those emotions and constantly go with them, and you're able to actually fully comprehend what's going on in the moment.
I like the dam breaking thing. And you can use like a cup as well, man. It's just like, if the cup's full and it's overflowing, that's not a healthy balance between the three of those: physically, mentally, and spiritually. But you see all the time, people are more physical bound. They're really involved in movement, and they can't stop moving. And it's the only way that they can keep their mind silent is to just constantly move. And I'm like, what you don't understand is that eventually you are going to get older. You're not going to be able to move like that anymore, and you're going to have to be able to deal with that stuff now. So, we're talking about that dam building. It's going to keep building up and building up and building up and building up until you eventually deal with it. So what if we just open that dam just a little bit into the overflow reservoir? What if we just let a little bit out of a time? Eventually that dam is going to get to a point where it's balanced. And once you can find a little bit of balance in your life, man, it goes a long way, because you're not sitting there questioning everything anymore. You're observing it, if that makes sense. You're observing it from completely. A point of, is this serving me or is it not?
So I just had a really interesting thought. If you look at animals, because we are an animal, we are a mammal. If you look at any other, I'm not going to fully quote this, but just from my experience, if you look at like a dog, a cat, any of your pets or animals around, when they do something, whether it be good or bad, they know the emotional value it's supposed to comprehend once they've been conditioned to be in that point. Does that make sense? So now,
yes,
like if your dog pees in the floor and you get mad at your dog or upset, you tell them, no, bad boy, bad girl, that's not okay. They know they've done a bad thing. Now, in human beings, I think we've turned off that almost instinctual animal being that we've had in the past, because we have so many distractions, which causes that innate, I guess, literally, we're just talking about it again, our innate, come on, we're talking about it just now. Innate instinctual ability to just address emotions. It builds up. And I think that comes with consciousness and the development of technology and things. But I think stress can kill you.
Well, not that too. Yeah, not that too. But think about this. We go to school. We're constantly being programmed, socially, mentally, physically. And you sit there and you take a step back and look at it. Are you basing your values on what you've been taught, or are you basing your values on the ethics and values and standards that you yourself deem are worthy? And I think that's the difference between the two, because most of the time people are so caught up with being something or trying to be something that someone else wants them to be, or a group of people want them to be, that they forget all about who they are. Or maybe they've never even figured out who they are.
Or if even they're subconsciously, or they even subconsciously have that thought in them. And I think that goes with everyone in every instance, because you have society telling you what you think, and you're like, no, that doesn't define me. But at the end of the day, you still worry about those things.
You do. And you see it all the time. People are like, I'm fine, I'm okay. But then they're burying all this hate, all this anger, all this depression. So, I've been training a lot of people, man, and, training my cousins, training a lot of people at the gym. And what I see, man, when I can bring that anger out of them, I'm like, do you know where that came from? Do you know what you're holding on to? It could be something from childhood. It could be something from yesterday. It could be something from 20 years ago. But if you're holding on to it, man, it will store itself and you will have to eventually deal with it. Or you're going to continue to become empty and cold. And I know because I've been there. I've been one of those people. And believe me, it's not a place to be, because it's not a place of growth, because go ahead, Nick.
Well, and the crazy part is that most of the time when that built up stress and anxiety, depression, or whatever, those mental blocks that you basically set up for yourself by not addressing your emotions, which, listen, I've only been in this 2.5 years and I've made an overwhelming difference in my life. But it comes up in opportunities that you don't want it to arise in. And it has usually nothing to do with the scenario. And now it latches itself onto something else. And now that becomes your rage, your anger, and towards a relationship that has nothing to do with the relationship that caused your pain.
Yeah. See, this is the thing. This is the whole thing about this, about a relationship, about any of it. If you don't love yourself, you cannot love another. You cannot give something to someone else that you do not have. So people all the time is like, oh, I love my wife, I love my children, all this stuff, but I hate myself and I hate the decisions that I made and this and that. Guess what, guys? Like, you are vibrating that. You are vibrating that out, and people feel that. And the ones that have practiced these things and become more instinctual beings, like me and Nicholas talk about, they can feel that, and they can feel the anger, the despair, the shame that you're expressing. But that's what's so important about being conscious and being present in the moment, is because you can figure out why you're feeling that way or where it's coming from. And if you can do that, if you can take a step back and observe, okay, well, I know I'm feeling this way because Jane Doe said this, this, and that, you will realize that, okay, then the world is not external. It doesn't matter what these people say about me. It doesn't matter. Everybody wants attention and they want to be appreciated and accepted, but you don't have to have it. The world is internal. And once you begin to understand that the world is internal.
Go ahead.
Let me finish.
No,
I feel
fine. Finish.
See, and this is what I'm talking about. Me and Nick's feeling each other. But this is what I'm talking about, this instinctual part of you, this divine spark that you have that's distilled from your God, whatever you believe in, that's okay. It's distilled inside you, and it's there. It's there for you to access here and now. But it just takes you surrendering. It takes you letting it flow and allowing your mind, body, and soul to connect in a way that you've never seen it connect before. Go ahead, Nick.
Now, this is a really good lead point into, have you ever been in situations where you get jealous or you feel something, and don't discount those emotions, but you're like, why are you feel like there's no reason to feel this way? Like getting jealous of a scenario, huh?
Or you're getting really angry or built up, and you're like, man, I'm trying to calm myself down, but I'm just getting
well. Look, how about this? So you build up, like we talk about. One of the hard things is, as much as you want to set goals and do these things, which is important, you have to make sure you're living those goals in the moment. You have to trust the process and continue to make moves on the motivations and actions that you take. But if you're creating a world in your head where you want it to be, and that's where you're living, you're never going to get to that world. So now, if you're living in that world in your head and a situation arises that doesn't go along with the storyline, the plot line to what you're trying to develop, you get jealous, you get angry, you feel resentment. But then you're like if you truly take a step back, you're like, that has nothing to do with it. I'm making up all this shit in my head.
Yeah, and I love this point. I love where you're going. It's you attract what you vibrate. You attract what you think. So if you're one of these people who you have all these hopes, dreams, aspirations to do all these great things, make a lot of money and do all this stuff, and you really want to be a successful person, what happens when you are successful? What happens? Eventually that success is going to run out. The money's going to run out. Something's going to run out. But your state of being, your soul at the core of it does not. So if you want that goal, that dreams, that aspirations, you have to train your body, mind, and soul to get there, to be that person, to be in that moment, to think like that person would. And if you can do that, you can have anything you want. But here's the thing. If you are coming from and you don't believe that you can do it, you never will. You have to believe in your heart, in your soul, in your state of being that you can do this. And no matter what, it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the fence. It doesn't matter who's trying to stop you. It doesn't matter the people you have around you. If you believe in yourself, you can do it. But you have to believe that.
Damn. Ain't that the truth?
Man, this is some good tea, man.
Yeah, I wish I had some good tea.
It's Earl Grey from Bigelow. And dude, I'm just a big tea drinker. And very occasionally I like it before bed.
Well, I think it's enjoyable.
It's nice.
But I mean, but dude, look. Okay, go ahead.
But this is the thing, man. It's like, I talk to people all the time, and I'm getting better at, really being able to read people, not only through movement, but just the things they say, the way they do, their body language, the emotions that they're displaying. And I could tell today. I had to go to this meeting, with my cousin for his thing, and I got to sit and talk to one of the counselors for a little while, man. And I could just tell, like, at the core of his being, man, he was so thankful to be there. Like he was talking to this mom about, her kid that was coming into the program. And, I hate to refer to these kids, but some of them are around 18 years old. And he was telling her, he's like, I've been there. He said, and I know that sometimes, like, you feel alone and you feel depressed and you think that no one cares about you. But even if you have no one in your corner, I promise you that there is someone that cares about you, someone that loves you. And if you think there's no one, I promise there is a divine Father that no matter where you go, what you do, no matter, the sins you commit, that will love you and love you unconditionally for who you are.
Well, and
I want more people to see that, man, because it's such a beautiful way to love.
It is.
And if we can do that, not only to our friends and our family, but our relationships, the people around us, man, it spreads and it radiates, and it's such a beautiful place to be. And that's what I want for people, love, joy, and happiness, and to radiate these things, because it's like, once you get there, man, once you get to that point where you're starting to help people out, or you begin helping yourself, like, you're gonna want more. You're gonna want more of that. And I think that's what's so great, is because, like, once you go looking for it, you've already lost. But once you begin to discover who you are and discover who you are at the core of your being, it's just such a beautiful world.
Well, that's like, people get so self-centered with looking at their own lives and how it should be, rather than just living their lives and making actions on the moments that I'm talking about. It's the same thing that we're talking about, living in the present. Like, if you lived in the present, you realize the people that do care about you. If you were honest with yourself, you'd realize the people that do care about you. You'd realize how much you care about yourself and the things that you might need to change or need to act upon. And that's so important, because then you're going to start to look at everything differently. Then you're going to start looking at yourself differently. You're going to start well,
it's like we talked about before,
Go ahead.
Pain, you have all this built up stuff, and then, you experience pain. Pain is your body's natural response to a bad stimulus that's placed upon it. Suffering is your decision of what you do with that pain. You can choose to suffer for 10, 20 years, or you can choose to suffer for 5 minutes. That's your decision. That is your decision. But that's one of those instinctual parts of us that I feel that we don't have a place to access unless you train it. And you got the parasympathetic nervous system, you got the sympathetic nervous system, flight or flight. If you are constantly in a state of stress, if you are constantly worrying about something, if you're constantly trying to place something in the future, if you're constantly depressed, man, you can't open up your heart. You can't do it, because it's not a place for it to be done. You have to take a step back and be present. And if you can't find anything to be grateful for, give me a call and I'll let you know that you're alive and you have that to be grateful for. I know sometimes life may seem very difficult and very hard, and it seems like we're alone and that we're not going to make it, but you've got to look at it from a different perspective. Do I live in a beautiful place with love, abundance, and miracles around me? Or do I live in a detrimental place where everybody's tearing me down and everybody's talking about me and everybody, is better than I am? It's your decision of what you want your world to be. And if you can set that perspective on being an optimist, and finding the joy and love and happiness and compassion, and even in a bad situation, you're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to prosper from those things. And if you learn a lesson, you're not going to fail. You have learned something from this. You can take something away. Maybe God was putting that in your life so that you can learn from it. It may not seem that way right now, but I guarantee you, if you become an observer and you start looking at it a little bit differently, you change your perception, you'll be thankful for that, because you realize that made you stronger in the end. It made you a stronger person to become the person that you're going to be.
And that's why I love you, Zach. That's why I love you. And I think that I appreciate that. I'm gonna end it with this. It's stop. I want you to stop thinking about how important you are to other people. And I want you to start thinking about how important you are to yourself, and let that door open in your life. Because once you start realizing how important you are to yourself, you can start actually affecting other people's lives importantly. Because if you're thinking about how important you are in other people's lives, all you're doing is thinking greedily. And y'all, with that, look, I hope y'all continue to open up these doors inside your life, because every day you wake up and you have a chance to go and change your own life. And if not your life, someone else around you for the better. And that is a blessing in itself. So be happy that we're 6 feet above rather than 6 feet below. And let's continue to open these doors in our own lives. I'm your co-host, Nicholas Sternloff, with my bro,
Zachary Otts.
And y'all, thank you so much. And let's continue to open these doors. Love you. Peace.